Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am your Ice Dragon, Rayron VR. This is a particular video I've been wanting to make for a while now. I've been gathering my thoughts on it, been gathering all of the stuff that I have with it, and then looking at some particular articles into why I'm just so frustrated with this hobby. This is a hobby that I've started when I was back in junior high school. In junior high school, there was an English teacher that supported the hobby, and every Friday, I'll never forget bringing my suitcase worth of miniatures to fight an opponent. And obviously, that is Warhammer 40K. I love the concept of this. I grew up with model aircraft from my father and model railroading. And so when I was introduced to this particular game, I was in love because I like the fact that you can build these miniatures, paint them however you want, or stay true to the lore. I tried to paint it via ultramarine style, but eventually kind of found my own thing, wintry paint schemes, and I'll show you guys a little bit later in this video. But when I got into it, I was having so much fun seeing these armies battle against each other, rolling epic amount of dice if you play the orcs. And I had such a good time. A lot of my good memories from childhood actually came from Warhammer 40K. And the reason why I title is Love and Frustration because it's one of my favorite hobbies, but I'm also so frustrated right now with it because of just how darn expensive it is. I understand about inflation. I understand, the ins and outs that the company's got to make money. But sometimes you go a little bit too overboard with these particular companies that they find the points where diminishing returns happen. And that's kind of what I talk about when it comes to the frustration of Warhammer 40K. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. All right, so this is from Bounty in the Comics. The article is a little bit old because I was still trying to figure out how I wanted to do this video. Like I said, I've been wanting to do this for about 2 months now because I love and I'm so passionate about Warhammer 40K that I really needed to gather my thoughts to figure out how exactly I wanted to do this video. So the way I'm going to kind of work this video is that I'm going to talk about my frustrations about it now and why it's so hard to get into the hobby. And then I'll show you guys some of the stuff that I've collected over the years. So with that, Games Workshop stock prices reportedly down more than 25% since mass DMCA striking fan content in promotion of Warhammer Plus subscription service. Games Workshop has become the latest major entity to learn that abandoning its core fan base in favor of chasing profit and wide appeal never results in success. Social media engagement would have them believe. The once beloved tabletop gaming company has apparently seen a massive drop in stock price ever since it engaged in a mass DMCA campaign against Warhammer fan works in order to promote the mass consumption approved content featured on the official Warhammer Plus subscription service. So this is how evil Games Workshop has become, that they want to have all of the IP when it comes to animation, when it comes to these fandom stories that you see on YouTube, that they are striking these content creators because they want to promote Warhammer Plus, which that subscription service I think has failed, in my opinion. But I like the idea at first, but I can't subscribe to it just out of I don't know. The word escapes me a little bit, but it frustrates me that you have a very loyal, very strong fan base that supports the lore, the background of these particular miniatures and armies and so forth, that it just gets really, really frustrating. And this is a hobby that I have done for many, many years. And to see where this company is going just breaks my heart. It really does. And it's like you got this awesome artwork. This is from Age of Sigmar. According to a report of UK-based investment news outlet Investment Week, the ever-growing resentment of fans towards the company's tightening grip on its much-loved portfolio of characters and stories has resulted in Games Workshop share pricing more than 25%. Again, we are the customer. If we don't like something, we can make the choice not to support it. And unfortunately for this hobby, going back on it, I actually haven't bought a miniature in 10 years. It's been 10 years since I've bought a miniature. And I want to get back into it. I really want to. But I will show you in a minute why it's kind of hard to do that. It's really hard to do that. Baffling, though admittedly unsurprising, financial experts have all but diminished the fans' role in Games Workshop rapid devaluation. With SVM UK Growth and UK Emerging Funds manager Margaret Lawson even asserting that she did not foresee any impact from the boycott and falling stock prices were the wrong reaction. See, and that's what drives me nuts. Drives me crazy. There is often a tension between franchises and fans, which becomes more acute as the value of IP grows and the brand extend online into other partnerships, said Lawson before complimenting the company's philosophy of out of the old, in with the new, regards to their fans. Games Workshop is going through the stage of evolution, which inevitably means a need for strong control of IP and disappointment for some. Yeah, that is absolutely ridiculous. You want to get rid of the old and bring in the new. Well, here's a reality check for you. Those old fans are the ones that have money. They are the ones that are retiring that will have some spending money. Debatable nowadays in our current economic landscape. But if you want to get the new, in with the new, how the hell are they going to be able to support this hobby? How in the world are they going to support this hobby? And oh, by the way, that old guard, when it comes to miniatures, a lot of those miniatures are no longer tournament legal because the size has changed. The base of the miniature has changed. You want to talk about microtransactions on a crazy scale? This is it. Not to mention, the core rulebook, you're going to easily spend at least $100 to $200 to get the core rulebook and get the codex of an army of your choice. The new upcoming generation and their fans, they need to put in a lot of upfront cost to get into this game. And this is how hobbies live or die. How cheap is that entry-level cost going to be? And for Warhammer 40k, it is redonkulously high. Here's the main Games Workshop page. A figure, $35. A mech, Dreadnought, $65. Maybe, if you're lucky, start collecting Genestealer Cult. This is probably, I would say, maybe 250 to 500 points worth of figurines, $95. Not to mention, some games. So, let me back up a little. For those who don't know Warhammer 40k, each one of these miniatures has point values associated with it, and you and your opponent have to decide what the max point level is going to be. The most common ones is usually 1,000, 1,500, 1,850, 2K. And you can see how expensive this can get. A squad, Space Marines, $50. I remember when this was $19.99 growing up. 2 figurines, $90. Acadian Defense Force. This is probably 1,000, maybe 750 worth of points here. $185. A Manticore, $55. And the issue is, this is not even including shipping, not including tax. 5 figurines for $55. This used to be $10 when I was back in 3rd edition Warhammer 40k. It is crazy how expensive these have gotten. And I understand that they gotta pay for the manufacturing molds. They gotta account for inflation. But the thing is, there's always a word of mouth value when it comes to any type of hobbies, franchise, whatever. If you treat the fans like shit, you are going to pay for it. When you start treating the fandom like shit, you're going to lose money. This is why their stocks are failing. Because people are not going to put up with this. Just crazy. Just crazy. So here's the codex for the book. So just to get a rule book to play the Astra Militarium, which hashtag Imperial Guard, IG, it'll always be Imperial Guard. Fuck you, Games Workshop, for changing the name on it. This is the Imperial Guard. All right, so this is probably 200 points worth of figurines here, $90. This right here is probably $1,252. This is, again, probably $1,000. Again, this is rough estimate because I haven't seen the latest 9th edition rulebook. $185. For a tank, it's almost $60. This used to be $20 back in the day. For a tank. Oh, man. This is sad. And then you want to go after content creators and copywriting their movies, their fan arts for a subscription service to Warhammer Plus. Like, come on, Games Workshop. And then we're starting to see the wokenisms start to creep into Warhammer 40k. So only time will tell to see what happens with Games Workshop. I'm really concerned because this is a hobby that I've loved for years, like decades. It's my probably second longest hobby that I've been doing. But yeah, very, very disappointing with Warhammer. All right, so that is why I am frustrated with Warhammer. It's something I want to get into, but right now it's just, oof, it is crazy. But so I want to show you guys the goods. So let's go ahead and take a look at the table. All right, so you guys want to see the good stuff. So over here on the table, if you guys haven't subscribed to my Endless Collectibles channel, I highly encourage it because this is something I would typically do for that channel. But I want to show you guys that I love Warhammer 40k, and here's some of the stuff that I've got to show you guys that I love this stuff. So this rule book is actually pretty old. This is the 5th edition rule book, but it's got some wonderful gems in here. It's got some beautiful artwork. So you can see the Empire, the Imperium. I mean, just look at this. It's gory, it's fighting. You've got these epic mechs in the background with Titans and Thunderhawks, and then the Orcs, Blood Angels. And then just the screenshots of battle reports. Chaos versus Space Marine here. I'm sorry, the light's kind of reflecting a little bit here, but this is what makes Warhammer so special, why so many people love it. I just wish the shop would get out of politics. I wish Games Workshop would just stay out of it and do what they do best and create universes and worlds and just battling. But yeah, this is one of the main core rulebooks. Now, they're on their like 9th edition. I started in 3rd, bought the 4th, and this is, I believe, the 5th. I could be wrong, but I think this is 5th edition, which is definitely a couple years old now. But just to show you guys that I love it. All right, this right here is some of the codexes for the individual armies. So this is Tau, basically the communistic empire. They believe in the greater good. But again, this is, I think, also a very old codex. This was my second favorite army, which was the Necrons, which, as you can see, I love my Necrons. This is a flayed one from McFarlane Toys. $33. Can't get that cheaper nowadays. Again, I bet this is an old codex. And then this is Codex Imperial Knights, because I do have a Knight Titan, and I love Titans. The Imperial Knight Titans, the Warhound, the Reaver, the Warlord, and the Imperator. Was basically a floating castle. This is when Warhammer was really, really fun to play. And don't get me wrong, it still may be fun and good to play today. It's just so freaking expensive. So before I get into the McFarlane Toys, Warhammer 40k lore is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Now, there's different sections of lore that you can specialize in. Obviously, you've got the 40k universe that you can specialize in. Me personally, there's this era called the Horus Heresy, and that is basically the 30k lore aspect. And as you can see here, there is a Horus Heresy book line, and these are definitely beat up. They've been through hell and back, because I loved this book series. And I don't have them all. Like, this is just like 10 of them. There's like, I think, at least 40 to 50 books now. Last I checked. So that, I love the 30k lore. I love the aspect of Horus Heresy, the Primarchs. This is, so just to do a quick snapshot of what Warhammer 40k is all about. In the 30k, you've got this human emperor that is super strong, badass, and he basically unites humanity, and then he creates these super soldiers called the Space Marine. Very iconic. They're basically the poster child of Games Workshop and Warhammer 40k. They are augmented, super gened out, engineered badasses. Very tall too. I think if I remember correctly, a human head will probably go up to a chest of a Space Marine. But they are just the tanks of infantry. And then you got Terminators, which are also pretty darn good. And so you've got these, if I remember correctly, because it's been a while since I dove into the lore, you've got about, if I remember correctly, 20 chapters, which is basically 100,000 each of these guys, each led by their own general called a Primarch, which is, the Primarch is basically a clone copy-esque. I mean, it's not, it's kind of hard to describe. It's kind of a genetically engineered self-portrayal of this emperor, and he basically calls them his children, his sons. So anyway, you've got all of these 20 generals of the Primarchs. A couple of them here from these books. Fulgrim of the Emperor's Children, Thousand Sons, which is Magnus the Red. I'm trying to think here, see if I got any other ones that I can talk about. Oh, Horus Heresy of the Lunar Wolves, which eventually comes the Sons of Horus. Oh my goodness! Now I'm going to have my Warhammer lore card taken from me. Or Horus's children. It was the Lunar Wolves. Man, that's going to drive me nuts. But then they changed. But I know they were the Lunar Wolves originally. Let's see, what else do I have here? Legion, Battle for the Abyss. But anyways, you've got all of these generals essentially leading these armies. However, you've got basically one general that convinces Horus, which he's basically like the commander-in-chief. He was given the rank by the emperor to conquer the world. No, it's not the world, the universe, the galaxy. But then, thanks to the forces of chaos, they basically corrupt Horus and other Primarch generals, and then they basically have one big civil war. And that's what leads to the Horus Heresy novels and of all these particular books. And they are great if you want to dive into like the story before Warhammer 40K. And I'm big into the Imperium lore, so that's why these books are just so great reads. But anyways, so Horus and the Emperor have this big fight. Spoiler alerts, both of them die. And then the world is in chaos. And then you've got all these other Xenos, or aliens, that want to conquer the galaxy as well. So you got all these different factions, from the Imperium to Imperial Guard to Sisters of Battle, which are these figures right here. The Necrons, as I've already talked about. Tyranids, which is aliens. You've got all sorts of different things. You got Tau. Trying to think. Oh, Eldar, Dark Eldar. What other races? Again, there's a whole bunch of races that I can't exactly remember top of my head, because like I said, it's been a while since I played this. But now I'm pretty sure you guys want to get into even the more good stuff. So let's go ahead and grab this guy. Now, I don't know if these cases still exist, but this is Battle Foam. I don't know if this company still exists, but they made custom carrying cases for anything tabletop related. And here are the goods. So basically, this is my Imperial Guard, or Astra Militarium. I still call them the Imperial Guard. But here are some of my basically Icey Army, essentially. This was like, my painting is not that great, but I love painting these things. Cadia forces from Imperial Guard. I eventually did get some Thousand Sons, because I did like Magnus the Red and his Thousand Sons. Magnus the Red did nothing wrong, hashtag. Yeah, it's been a while since I've dived into this. So, yeah, I got my T-Sons right here. And then I decided to start mashing things up a little bit. So I started a Chaos Army with the Lizard Man heads, which they're kind of hard to get nowadays because Warhammer Fantasy is no longer a thing. So I wanted this like lizard dragon army in chaos form. And you want to talk about, remember how I said that miniatures change over time? So this is the original Montius Calgar. He's a hero from Space Marines, Ultramarines. And this miniature now is no longer this size. It's a bigger base, bigger model. And that model right there, I can't play anymore. I would have to proxy to call him like a champion. So one thing that I did a lot of is proxy. So you guys may cringe a little bit if you're Star Wars fans, but I look at this and it's like, man, I painted these guys too. These are my conscripts. They're basically Star Wars when Wizards of the Coast made the miniatures. I painted them. I'm really sad because these are probably worth a little bit. But this is when I started to get kind of fancy. So again, Astra Militarium in the ice configuration. So these were like, this is probably one of my favorite miniatures because I use green stuff for the cloak. So this was definitely one of my favorite armies to play. Oh, and here are. Okay, so these are a whole bunch of unpainted Chimera tanks. I have their turrets out somewhere else, but I've got the Valkyrie. So what I did is I put Velcro tape on the Valkyrie base, so that way they can stay there and I can move it quite easily. You can see my army listing there at the bottom. Man, this brings back so much. It's been a while since I've opened this up. Ah, the good old days of Warhammer. These were the days that it was fun and cheap, decently cheap to get into. Put all these back here. It was just a good time to play. Okay, let's go ahead and put this aside. Now, I have this giant tub. It's been a while. It has been a while. So here's a giant tub. So yeah, you guys can get the picture. So I still got some Chaos Space Marines to build. So my kind of theme was like, I love my mashup of Star Wars logo with the Imperial logo. So that's just what I went with. My latest endeavor before I kind of paused on the hobby was I wanted to repaint all my Space Marines into the particular chapters. Oh, legions, not chapters, legions. Here's some of my painted tanks. This is the color schemes I went with. Lehman Russ, Hellhound. So one thing I forgot to show, and I'll probably show after I'm done here, but this guy is one of my favorite pieces of my army. This is a Baneblade. Now, this is just not any type of Baneblade. I don't know if I have the figurine here, but anyways, well, you guys can probably tell. Those who are true 40k nerds will know what type of Baneblade this is, and that's because that's a heavy bolter pintle mounted with the autocannon on the side. This is Maximilian's Baneblade from Forge World. So Forge World was a company that wasn't truly recognized by Games Workshop up until like 10 years after I got into the hobby, and then they finally started to bring those miniatures in. So this is a full resin model of the Baneblade. Now, I did a showcase video on my Endless Collectibles on the turntable with this guy, so feel free to watch that video on my Endless Collectibles channel. Link down below. I love this thing. There's my little Hellhound turret. Okay, and then this was, I still gotta paint this guy. But this was when Games Workshop came out with their Storm Shield tank that can be converted into so many different variances. I was mad when they came out with these guys, like, you know, I paid X amount of money for the Baneblade, and then I could have gotten one of these I can convert into so many different things, like 5-10 years later down the road. So I was really annoyed by that. Okay, I'm going to attempt to get this guy out, but let's see here. So we talked about those Night Titans and how I love them so much. Looks like this guy's arm unfortunately broke, so we'll try to fix it real quick. Like I said, these things have been beaten. There we go. These things have been beaten up. All right, so this little guy right here, this is the Imperial Night Titan. Oh, not Imperial Night Titan. This is the Night Titan. One giant mech. And this is actually the smallest of the lot. They get bigger from here and much taller. All right, next thing, if I can... This guy's not fully done yet, but I wanted to make like an Inquisition army. So this was my attempt to make like a Grey Knights Lehman Russ when the Allied factions was a thing. Looks like I'm going to have to refix this guy, but I think if I remember correctly, this was called the Medusa, or the Manicore. I think it's Manicore, maybe. It's been a while. So, yeah, and that's pretty much all I have currently with me. There's a whole bunch in storage that I still have left when it comes to Warhammer stuff, But this gives you an idea of just, I love Warhammer. I've played the miniatures. I've painted them, put them together. And what I would like to do in the future is I eventually want to try to get back into this, but I'm going to build a Sisters of Battle army. And I probably want to stream it, record it, so that way you guys we can grow through this hobby together. So, and then one thing I wanted to show you guys is the Forge World website. So this is the site I was talking about. This is Forge World. They have some really awesome models. And when we just go to, where is it? Titans, Imperium. This is quite special. Because I used to have a Reaver Titan, but I had to sell it, unfortunately. Made some good money, but it's one of my biggest regrets in life, selling that model. But someday, who knows? Someday we may get back into getting it. And then they came out with their Warlord Titans, and it's like, oh man. The website is not cooperating with me at the moment. Let's see here. But anyways, you guys can get the general gist of it. But yeah, guys, that is basically all I have for this video. Again, Warhammer 40k has been a love-hate relationships. This is something that it's been a part of me all my life. It's one of the hobbies that will never go away. I'm just kind of on hiatus from it. But I want to get back into it. I miss it so much. I miss the lore. I miss the building, the painting, and the playing of this game. But as you guys can see, my frustrations with it is that, Games Workshop, I'm hoping they're not going to go woke, but it feels like that's the direction they're going in. And then treating the fans the way they have done with the copyright claims, with the DMCA, it's like, it is very hard out of principle to support this company. So I don't know. It's just one of those hobbies that it's a love-hate relationship, and I'm really frustrated with it. So, but with it, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you guys on the next one.